Hello, guys. This is Live from Nowhere, a broadcast to benefit crew members who are currently out of work. My name is Max Frost. Today, I'll be talking to producer, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, who is also the co-founder, co-writer, and lead guitarist of All American Rejects, Nicholas Wheeler. Welcome, Nick. Where are you coming from today?
Hey, thanks for having me. I am in my home studio in Nashville.
Beautiful, beautiful. And that looks like a pretty amazing collection of guitars and synths and everything you got. Is this the way that it's always set up, or did you go in and kind of like recomb this for the setup or the video?
Well, this is how it looks every day. I'm very meticulous. I coil all the cables at the end of the day. I like to walk into it fresh and clean every day. But it's kind of embarrassing. There's that many guitars up in that other room too. So
wow. Well, that's quite a collection. I think we'll get into that here in a little bit. Well, thanks for being here, Nick, again. And before we get going, I want to mention and congratulate you that "Move Along," y'all single, is now 15 years old this year, which is kind of extraordinary. It's a monster record. So
thank you so much. I can't believe it's been 15 years. That was back. We made that record back, when we were still experiencing a lot of firsts. So I actually do have a lot of memories from that time. The last 10 years, I don't remember as much, but Move Along is very vivid. I can't believe it was 15 years ago. But we had a lot of plans this year, playing some festivals, playing some shows where we were going to do the album in its entirety, which we've never done. There's songs on there that we literally haven't played since we recorded them. A lot of that stuff has been postponed or canceled, which is a bummer, but hopefully we'll get to just pretend this year didn't happen and do the 15-year next year. Or we'll do like we did on our first record and do a Sweet 16 next year.
Exactly. I mean, I think that actually kind of has more of a ring to it, doing a Sweet 16.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because what's 15? It's really like 1.5 to 2 decades. So 16 has more of kind of like some kind of a ring. But did you start on guitar first, or what was your first instrument?
I did. I've been playing guitar since I was 7. But when I got to, I guess it was about junior high, nobody really was playing drums. So if I wanted to be in a band or play with other kids, I had to play what nobody else played. Everybody played guitar. So I was like, yeah, I'm a percussionist in school band. I can figure this out. So I played drums in some bands. I ended up playing guitar and drums on the first Rejects record. And then since then, I've pretty much been guitar only. I'll play drums on some tracks, like with other artists and stuff, if it needs live drums. But I leave that to actual drummers these days.
Yeah. Were there any, kind of instrument-wise, any early guitar heroes that kind of inspired you to pick up and play, or where did that all kind of come from inspirationally?
I lived through most of the 80s. So, Bon Jovi and Def Leppard were the two bands that got me playing music. And playing guitar especially was like, Richie Sambora. And
Richie Sambora. You're a huge fan of Richie Sambora. I've heard around the block.
I am. And Phil Collin and Steve Clark and those guys. But then in the 90s, I was in the impressionable age where I was discovering music, on my own, and not just what the rest of my family members were listening to.
Totally.
That's when Green Day and Offspring and all that stuff came out. So then I got really into power chords, and
beautiful.
Then there was a brief moment where I was in a ska band or two, but
I've found that when you're going through that early phase, when you first start really discovering music on your own, the people that you're listening to then and the culture that you're absorbing then, you pick up information that it almost would be impossible to even study to try to learn this stuff. You know what I mean? Like I would bet that you're probably like an encyclopedic brain when it comes to Richie Sambora's life. Is that possible, or is that a reach?
I don't know, but there was definitely a time from like 1989 to like 2002 to where I felt like I was pretty like well versed, and at least what I was listening to.
Well, what I want to do actually is I want to go ahead and put the catalog to the test of your Richie Sambora life facts. We've got a little bit of a game here set up.
I don't know.
And
Here's the thing. Back in those days, the only information I had on these guys was what I read in the liner notes in my cassette tapes. That's what's so different about nowadays.
That's going to be more than enough. Trust me, that's going to be more than enough. But we're going to see. We're going to see. But so we're going to ask you a couple of questions here, and we're going to see, how deep the rabbit hole goes. This is
oh boy.
This is a game we're going to call Samba with Sambora, and here we go. So Richie was quite the ladies' man, as you guys all know, or if you don't know, now you do. Which one of these famous ladies was Richie Sambora not in a relationship with? Okay. We've got A, Heather Locklear, B, Cher, C, Denise Richards, D, Sheryl Crow, or E, Ali Sheedy.
I know A, B, and C for sure. I don't feel like Sheryl Crow is the right time frame, so I'm gonna go with Sheryl Crow.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
Bang. That's correct. That is correct. Moving on. Excellent work. Where are Richie's parents from? A, Italy, B, Sweden, C, Poland, or D, the United States of America?
Okay, well, I'm trying to think what the origin of that last name.
Sambora.
Yeah. Well,
doesn't feel like a great with the options at hand.
Let's go Poland.
Wow. That is correct. That is correct. You have a good instinct with these things. Or you've known from the beginning.
I really only have known one of these for sure, I think.
I feel like, again, whenever you were a kid reading those liner notes, it's like the information, like it seeps into the back and it stays.
Something subliminal in there, I guess.
Yeah. So where did Richie get the inspiration for the Bon Jovi hit Bad Medicine? A, the boardwalk at Ashbury Park, obviously in New Jersey, while the band was out there playing. B, doctor's office in Denmark while on tour. C, a hotel rooftop in Japan while filming a commercial shoot. Or D, driving on the PCH in California.
Sounds like a driving song. I'm going to go with D, driving on the PCH.
That's your final answer?
Well, it's not good when you say like that. Yeah, let's go with driving on the PCH.
All right, okay. I'm sorry to inform you, this is the first incorrect answer. The correct answer was C, hotel rooftop in Japan while filming commercial shoot.
That was my backup. That was my backup.
That's I think that's the toughest one so far. It's Dr. Richie Sambora to you, youngster. Richie Sambora holds a doctorate from Keene University in New Jersey in what discipline?
Oh boy.
A, English literature, B, astrophysics, C, humane letters, or D, political science.
What is humane letters?
I have no idea.
Let's go with literature, English literature.
Okay, that is incorrect. It is, in fact, C, humane letters. Fun fact, Keene University is in Union, New Jersey, is the same institute of higher learning that Richie dropped out of to pursue a career as a professional guitarist. So it's very serendipitous.
Oh, yeah, the doctorate there. Was it an honorary doctorate?
Yeah, was it letters? Which is such a, I get it
doctorate in a made-up
when they do that, but that's kind of like, luckily, I dropped out of college, right? And what I feel good about getting a degree after the fact, kind of as like a gift of service, yes, but if I had gone to all the school and then saw a dude get the doctor gift, right, I'd be real pissed.
Yeah.
So drop us a line out there if you're a doctor, how you feel about these gifted.
Or if you have any kind of degree in humane letters, I would like to know what that is.
Richie was inspired to begin playing guitar in 1970 by which famous guitarist? A, Bo Diddley, B, Jimmy Page, C, George Harrison, or D, Jimi Hendrix?
It feels like Hendrix.
That is correct.
Really? Okay.
Richie's first instrument was guitar, tuba, violin, accordion, or piano.
We said he was from Poland, right?
Yes.
Where his parents were? Let's go with accordion.
Hey, that is correct. Very good. I like the way you're going detective style on that, retracing your steps. The first time Richie went on tour professionally, who was it with? Bon Jovi, Kiss, Aerosmith, or Joe Cocker?
Like playing with, or like an opening band for, or?
Yes, could be in an opening band. That would count.
Oh.
That would count in this context.
Maybe it's Bon Jovi, but just for fun, let's say Joe Cocker.
That is correct. Fun fact, this was in 1982 when Richie was in the band Message. That is a good guess.
Okay, that sounds familiar.
All right, so I'm pretty impressed. I got to say, I'm impressed.
How did I do?
Unfortunately, you're one correct answer away
All right.
from us being able to send you the Richie Sambora poster that we had signed for you. So now that's actually going to be going to my house.
If he replies, if he acknowledges me.
So I'm drinking a little bit of some cold brew right here that
Ooh, nice.
I don't know if you're familiar with Chameleon Cold Brew out of Austin, Texas, or I guess I'm saying all this to segue to the fact that I'm aware that you're a bit of a scholar when it comes to the juice of the bean.
Yeah, snob, nerd, whatever you want to say.
And so how did that begin? How does that, you've always been drinking coffee. It's become more of an obsession. Is it an addiction? Is it just is it a necessity?
It's definitely an obsession and an addiction now. I started drinking coffee when I attended college, at which I dropped out of also, to bring it back. But about 10 years ago, on the road, it became like the morning ritual. I would take my dog, Dexter, who's right over there. I would take him out on a walk and we'd go get coffee. And now that I'm not on the road as much, and now that I literally don't leave the house, I do it at home. And I've gotten very scientific with it. I even tested all these different brands of water with like a TDM meter and like some like test strips and stuff. Found the best water for home brewing.
Wow.
It's got I've had some time on my hands.
So when the tour bus stops for gas, you're not rolling in there for the gas station coffee. That's not your move.
No.
On the road, how do you get the fix when the bar is that high? How does this work?
I have a Pelican road case with a travel setup. A Kalita Wave is my pour over method. I have a kettle. I usually try to request a particular brand of bottled water because you can't make it. You can't make it.
This is a high maintenance process. I mean, this is like
extremely high maintenance.
And you've got from what I understand, I'd like to bring them in to talk about this. We've got Mitch, we've got Brennan here on the line to talk about. These guys are on the road with you. We're going to bring them in here to talk about the process of preparing Nick's coffee. We're going to go to them live now.
Oh God. Okay.
Brennan and Mitch, how are you guys doing? Everything good with you?
Hi, bud.
Good. Very good.
So I want to ask you guys, he just left it there with the Pelican case, which I've seen some particular things carried in Pelican cases, maybe like, video game stuff or, stuff you might also use to play. I've never heard of someone with like a French pour over setup. I mean, can you guys sort of talk me through your end of the process on caffeinating, Nick, and how that all flows together?
No holds barred. Just let it rip.
Yeah. Well, Nick, we all have a writer. All bands have a writer, and specifically on his writer is like he wants local high-end coffee, right? Which is sometimes okay. Sometimes you're in the middle of nowhere and they're like, hey, we can get Folgers. And I'm thinking to myself like, oh my God, he's not going to like that. But the other half of me is like, yeah, go ahead and bring the Folgers out. Like he'll just have to deal with it.
He'll deal with it. There's even a note on the rider that it has to be purchased within a week of the roast date.
Oh, that's right.
Wow. Has Nick ever walked in the green room, picked up the cup, and just taken a little sip and then just thrown it across
I've seen him throw the coffee bag at the wall. I've seen that. No, I'm totally kidding.
It smells like mildew.
What is this?
So you guys obviously wear a lot of different hats on the road. So I mean, outside of the coffee, could you sort of describe for our audience, the other main roles other than the coffee that you guys are sort of covering while on tour?
Yeah, I mean, so I stepped in at the beginning and I was drum teching, and for whatever crazy reason, these guys are like, "Hey, man, do you want to tour manage us?" And I'm like, "What?" Just, no. And so here we are now, though. So I went out and tour managed these guys, which entails quite a bit. Nick is the easiest one to deal with.
I can sign off for a minute, and you guys can have a more honest conversation.
He helps, like, because I got to deal with flights and hotels. Nick's he tries to be hands-on. I don't know if that's because he's bored or it's just trust me. That's a very possible situation. But yeah, so do that. And then eventually I got off the road with these guys and did it from home, just the advancing portion. And then Brendan stepped in and handled the day-to-day road stuff, which has changed a little bit. And I'm sure he can evaluate that.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of jumped in. Mitch liked his cushy job at his house and not being on the road anymore. So I'm handling day-to-day stuff, and then I also mix the band at their shows. So.
That's a beautiful thing. Well, I've also heard through the grapevine, pun intended, that Nick's taste for different fluids extends beyond coffee and actually becomes a bit of an asset on the road. Folks, if you're out there, if you've never been on tour and you're watching this, you have to understand that in the United States of America, most of the places that you go, other than major cities, it's tough to find food that you would consider of a certain grade. But what I've heard that Nick is capable of doing is he's capable of taking some of these foods that you're forced to eat sometimes when in the middle of nowhere. And as a wine connoisseur himself, he's found a way to pair these certain foods with particular wines or beverages that I feel like, kind of brings out more of the life. We're going to dig into this a little bit. So what I have is I have a list of sort of classic tour foods. And I kind of want to bounce it off of you and see, what would you pair this with, and maybe give us a little bit of why. But so we're gonna just start with bus nachos. What kind of wine or what would you pair with bus nachos?
I would go with probably like a Rioja or like a Tempranillo. I have done this not just on the bus but at home, whether it's like late night homemade nachos or maybe like stopping at Taco Bell on the way home from a show.
Yeah.
That's usually my go-to is something Spanish.
And what does it bring out? Does it bring out some notes in the fake cheese, or
it's a little spicy?
Yeah. Okay. What would you pair with the Campbell's microwave soup?
Oh, I don't really eat soup. What kind is that? Chicken noodle?
Chicken noodle, yeah.
Chicken noodle. It's salty. Chicken. I don't know. Maybe like an acidic Pinot Noir, like cut through the salt. I don't know. There's really no method to this. I'm sure I have no idea what I'm talking about, but I feel like that would be good.
What about Easy Mac? If we're just talking back, if we're getting back to the cheese.
I don't know if you would consider this pasta.
Classic Italian dishes.
Yeah.
It's about as close as you can get on the road.
Yeah. I don't know, like a nice Chianti. That'd be my go-to.
Some fava beans and a nice Chianti. Microwave burritos, does that differ from Taco Bell, or would that be in the same?
I'd stick with that Rioja. Pop her back open. Yeah.
Okay, but now let's take it to some more authentic Italian food. If we're talking about Hot Pockets, then where does that lead you, palate wise?
With some pepper. I mean, that's classic. I mean, I'd go Chianti, or perhaps if I have access to like a nice like Barbera, that'd be nice.
Barbera? What's a Barbera? Is this a brand or is this a type of wine?
It's also just an Italian wine. I don't really know much about it. I just know it's one of my other go-tos.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And what about an Uncrustable? What would you pair with an Uncrustable?
I've never had one of these, but we toured with a band that would get these every day on their rider, and I was always curious. Peanut butter and
make a note, Brendan.
Is there peanut butter in there? Is there peanut butter in there, or is it just jelly?
No, I think it's like a PB&J.
They claim that it's peanut butter. I'm not sure what it is, but it's supposedly flavor-wise. The answer is yes.
Maybe something just safe and in the middle, like some sort of red blend, like a Côte d'Aron might be nice. Maybe a red Zin with like that grape jelly, that could be good.
Oh yeah, I could see that. Yeah. Last night I paired some homemade nachos with Stella, and it really It brought out the lime hint in the Tostitos. It was really nice.
Right. Oh, you're
really
a hint of lime guy.
Yeah. When that's what's left, when that's whatever's the least moldy, that's kind of how I pair things. But that's pretty impressive. That's an impressive skill. And again, it's really cool to see you guys. It's sort of like a telepathy. It's sort of like a kinesiology kind of thing. So you guys obviously, haven't seen each other in a while, and I'm glad to virtually sort of bring you guys back together to sort of shoot the shit here. I always kind of like to ask people because, over the years, spending time on the road together, whether it's just stories you've traded or especially things that have happened when you've all been on the same ride, is there any kind of story I could squeeze out of you guys that's sort of like a go-to classic for being on the road?
Yeah. So this was probably, and I've only been around like a couple weeks at this point, and middle of a show, pretty big festival. And I never figured out what exactly happened, but I do know that the keys riser and playback and all of like downstage power just went out right in the middle of the song, like gone. So, which inevitably is a problem. Mm-hmm. So I run off stage and I'm like yelling at a few people, kind of pissed off. But dude, they saved it. Cause remember, I don't know if you remember this, you guys went acoustic.
What show was this? I vaguely remember something like this happening.
I feel like we were in Texas somewhere.
Okay.
Like you guys just like stopped because that's all you could do. I mean, everything just shut down, and then acoustics come out, and and I was freaking out. I was pissed off. I was like, I'm gonna get fired. This is gonna be my fault.
Was the PA still on? Did we still get
PA stayed on? It was all stage power, pretty much. Just went out.
Okay, gotcha.
That was scary.
Yeah, that's terrifying. I can't I have like nightmares about stuff like that happening. Especially like leading up to playing shows if we haven't played in a long time. Like I start having like scary work nightmares. And they're usually about something like that. Warped Tour has its ups and downs, and we haven't done it in about 10 years. I think 2010 was the last time. But that show was great. Even if it was, difficult at times, the show was great. I think we played the last song, which we haven't played in probably since the Move Along tour 15 years ago. And we played that since it was the last Warped Tour. And I actually teared up a little bit on stage. Like it was a good time. That was a fun show.
Is it often that you make crying faces on stage? Is emotion a thing? Does that really come through often when you're playing?
I'm really emotionally raw lately. It's a common occurrence. No, but that one was special.
I've heard you do make some faces, and I think we've got some clips here this. I believe this is from the performance of Photograph that we're gonna take a look.
Oh, I know this one. Yeah, I remember this one. Yeah.
Whoa.
I know the exact moment. Yeah.
That makes me so happy.
I was so terrified. This performance, just being what it was so just nerve-wracking. But I had a special guitar, not made, but outfitted. I had one of my Firebirds, which is a long scale neck. I had a floating tremolo installed on this guitar to play the solo and Photograph, because there's two dive bombs. There's one down and there's one up, if I remember correctly. And on top of that, I think we tuned the whole song down a whole step. So I had these strings flopping around with this floating tremolo. I was just hoping it would stay in tune. And then we get to the solo, and I don't want to mess it up because I don't think they let you redo these things. Like when you're doing it wasn't live, but it was like taped for TV.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was whatever was, I was in it. Like those faces, those aren't put on. That's what's happening in my mind and in my body, and just
you let the dragon out.
These are all from that same performance, aren't they? Oh man,
it's interesting because some of these angles and something about the way your hair is cut there, you look like the bad guy from No Country for Old Men in some of those clips.
Oh wow, that's so perfect.
You know what I mean? Not in that one, but in some of the other ones, something about the angle, you look like you're that dude.
I've also been told that me and Ellen have the same haircut.
Well, speaking of bringing people here together who we haven't seen each other in a while, or you guys haven't seen in a while, we got another gentleman from your crew that works hard to keep you and the bandmates going on stage. We got your guitar tech, Florida. Florida's here to join us and to tell us what it's like running guitars here for Nick. Florida, how are you doing today, sir?
Boy. Where are you at? There he is.
What's up?
Hi, everyone.
Actually, I think the last time I saw you was at that Warped Tour show, wasn't it?
No, we did the last show we did this
The
year.
last show.
You were on the February shows, right? Okay.
Yeah.
That
But
feels
no,
like
we were our buses
It
were
does feel like
technically
last year.
parked next to each other at Warped Tour though, because I was there
Very
with
true.
When you're
I think
back,
I think you ended up co-teching me at the Warped Tour because
Yes, that's right.
the high Eastern.
So Florida, what's it like running guitars for Nick?
Well, for him, it can be intense. I mean, adding the other two guys makes it even more intense, but it's simmered down a little bit in the last couple of years. But in the beginning, oh man, you want to talk about getting thrown to the wolves.
Yeah, because I think we met. We met on the Move Along tour, and that's you weren't working for us at the time. You were with Starting Line, right?
Yeah, I was with the Starting Line on that.
And that was the tour where I had 21 guitars out. So that was like the height of it all.
Well, when I started,
but then when you came on, it was Gives You Hell era. So like it was still pretty hairy, I bet.
Yeah, when I started with you, that rehearsal week in Phoenix, I think it was at 29.
Yep.
Yeah, it was at 29. It was the vault, the 8 space, and then a bunch of
29 guitars?
Yeah, 29 guitars, because we also had that guitar trunk completely full. Plus the
those were just me. Those were everybody.
No, that was you. Because I only did you back then. I had you and Toad. That was it.
Right. How many amps were there at that time?
Okay, this is where it gets real fun. Let's see, two VHT 4x12s, 2 AC 30s, 1 Fender Bassman, 1 JC 120. The talk box, if you want to count that as an amp.
That's an input.
And technically it is.
Yeah.
So that was what was live on deck, but then there was the stuff in the racks too, and that's where it got real interesting. Because I mean, we had 3 trays of pedals at one point, and then we had all the line 6 stuff.
This is before we did any kind of amp modeling or any digital anything. So it was all like legit, like amps and tubes and stomp boxes and all kinds of crap.
Yeah, we just made MIDI talk to everything and make it work for us. That was literally it. So, but we had a master and a slave board out on the deck, and so we're coordinating. I'm doing changes for him at some points because there's solos where he's all the way across the deck, so he can't make those changes. So you've got that at the same time you're tuning a guitar for the next song, which there was always a guitar at the next song. There was always a change.
So I'm curious how accurate y'all's guess could be. I'm actually even curious if Nick knows the answer to this question. The question is, and Nick would answer it last, assuming he knows, because I would totally understand if you're not totally sure and if it is a guesstimate. But I kind of want to go around the virtual room here and see, what is your guess on the number of guitars Nick possesses? What's the guess? And then I want to hear the answer from Nick. And this is not on the road. This is in totality of his hoard, his collection, we should call it, not his hoard.
I know that he has a storage unit. I have never seen this storage unit, but I know it exists. I'm going to go up to, I'm going to say 165.
165. Okay.
Yeah, my
Florida.
guess is probably around 150, I think.
150.
I was going 100.
Okay. Nick, do you even know? Is yours going to be a guess, Nick?
Hold that thought.
Oh, he has a list.
He's got a list for sure.
Oh, there was a catalog for a while. I remember this.
We sold some stuff.
We did sell some stuff. I don't know if my spreadsheet is updated to reflect these sales, but it was just a few.
3 or 4. Maybe.
I don't know if I'm in triple digits, to tell you the truth. I'm sorry to disappoint you guys.
So Florida's going to be the winner there.
Bold-faced lie.
Yeah. Okay, pulling it up now. This spreadsheet has 79 on it. But I know I've gotten a couple since then, and I just added a new one today. It was a quarantine purchase on Reverb.
Oh God!
a 1960 Silvertone Jupiter.
Hey,
Yeah, I've never owned a Silvertone, and I've always wanted to.
that's awesome.
I found one in excellent condition on.
Max has one.
I would say it's 80 something.
See, I remember it
Yeah,
being
was
somewhere
Sam
around
selling it?
75, but that was like in 2009.
You got
And
one of
remember-
these?
I think there's fenders in there.
You got to
but I
get
don't-
yourself the Silvertone Hornet,
Ooh.
dude. This is a vibe right here. These things are cool. The lipstick pickup, you know.
Yeah, Eric Valentine had one of those, and it needed to set up something terribly because the action
There's
was
no.
about
Here's
inch
the
and a
thing.
half off of the neck, and I played it all over our third record begrudgingly because but it sounded so good.
Yeah, they sound great, but if you see a guy playing one of these, it's like it's completely about how it looks. No one can tell me that they like to play like the neck. It's like playing. It's just ridiculous. Like it's the most difficult guitar to play. There is even after a setup, it's never going to dial in quite right. But
yeah, and the Jupiters are a little better. But our other guitar player Mike will tell you a story about Eric Valentine as well. When he was playing Eric's Jupiter and would have to sustain a note for a couple bars, he would actually have to like start bending it halfway through so it would stay in tune and not just drift.
As it slips. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, guys, I'm sure we could go on for days, but unfortunately we're out of time. I want to thank you guys again all for joining. And Nick, thanks again, especially. It's really been a pleasure. We found out a lot of information.
All of this.
Absolutely. And for everyone out there watching, thanks for watching Live from Nowhere. We're just here to raise awareness for and funds for unsung heroes of our entertainment industry who are currently out of work. Until next time, guys, sayonara. Thanks again.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Adios.